Hello everybody, my name is Derek and today we're going to be doing a quick docking tutorial. So I've already kind of started launching this docking craft up here. First I placed this guy in orbit, this other ship, and now I'm in the middle of my launch. And so I'm going to kind of show you what it would look like if we wanted to dock with this. So in this little ship is Jebediah Kerman, and we're going to pretend like he's out of fuel and needs a rescue. Now he's not actually out of fuel, but he is. He doesn't have parachutes, so he is in trouble. But what we're going to do is we've already built a rescue ship and we're going to launch up and dock with him. So I'm going to show you what that kind of looks like and a method to dock. I'm not going to say it's the best method. So let's jump right in here. We are boosting our initial orbit up, and what we're going to do is boost up until this apoapse is somewhere on Jebediah's orbit. So here's his orbit. He's at 200 and some kilometers right now. So we're going to boost up till one part of our orbit is just touching his. So we're burning from our still our launch burn here, but we're just letting it go for a while. So there we go. We're now kind of intersecting with his orbit. And we'll set him as our target. So that's what our docking interface is going to look like for the moment. Here's our ship. We're almost out of fuel in this stage, but we'll go ahead and take it up. So, onward and upward. So what we're going to do right now is just kind of circularize our orbit a little bit. You can see that the target's going to be over there next time we come around. And that's assuming that we travel through the planet on our way around. So that's not a good thing. So he's ahead of us, which means we want to catch him. And to catch him, we need to go faster. And to go faster, we need to be under him. So when we set our orbit up here, we are not going to set it up in such a way that we go real high. We're going to try to hit just about 70 kilometers on the backside and stick to that. That'll minimize the amount of time that we have to loop around the planet over and over again. There we go. And in fact, we're going to get pretty close to an intersect right here. Because on this second lap, he was behind us already. Now, we're not going to be able to just go straight into it there, because as you saw, that would have put us passing through the atmosphere some. So we can do that, though. That'll put us 60 kilometers apart, and then when we're back here again, once we pass this guy, we'll just kind of match our orbit to his. So, let's zip around the planet real quick. And it's going to kick us out of time warp, as we are a little too low for it here. So this isn't going to be too bad. We're really just going to have to go around this one time. And it helps a little bit that he's in a higher orbit, so we've got plenty of room to go under him. But what we're going to do is when we hit this guy, it's going to jump around, and we're going to boost ourselves so that we don't get ahead of it so much. So like right here you can see intersect 1, that's where we are, and this is target position, so he'll be slightly ahead of us. But as soon as we hit that, it'll correct for the next one, and he's going to be well behind us, because we're going to make up a lot more ground on him since we're so low. So what we'll do is boost our side back up so we don't make up as much ground on him, and then we'll be right on top of him when we get back here. So we're going to be 200 kilometers apart and 80 kilometers apart. So see, it jumped there. Now he's behind us. Or this is the one, so it changes the color. This will be our second one. So now he's way behind us. So we are just going to boost our orbit until this guy comes together. There we go. And that burned out this particular stage. So we'll just go ahead and stage to our next one. And that's going to be nice because we're going to have to be flipping back and forth a little bit, and it was going to be annoying to try to do it with that very large stage. So here we go. We're down to 150 kilometers. And we're just barely burning right now. I mean, I'm using very little throttle. There we go, we're down to 120 kilometers. Or no, that's the speed. Okay, relative separation, 40 kilometers. There we go. 30 kilometers. 20. Which doesn't seem like that's real close, 10 kilometers away, but that's pretty close in space. And there we go, 2.2 kilometers. That's going to be very, very close. And an intercept speed of only 24 meters per second. That's also very close. Here we go. You see we almost have the same orbit that he does. We're very close to him. So we will just head on around to this other side. We're going to click this thing until it gives us our target view. Alright, now we're getting pretty close to him. So we're going to slow down our time warp. And if we jump out to here, we can probably already see him there. Yeah, he's 2 kilometers away, 1.5, 1 kilometer away. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. Need to not do that, first of all. We're going to kind of kill our relative speed to him, while also adjusting our vector here. So the retrograde vector moves away from you if you thrust at it. It'll try to run away, whereas the prograde vector will pull towards wherever you're thrusting. You see when I thrust, it pushes that retrograde vector away. Now this purple symbol here is the direction to the target, and that's the anti-direction. So that's saying that the target is, if I point right at that, that's pointing us directly away from the target. You can see he's 110 kilometers away. So if we put the retro marker from target speed, so the marker that is our speed relative to the target, right on top of the direction away from the target, we're saying that we're moving away from the target, which is a wonderful double negative to mean we're moving towards the target. And if that confused anyone, I apologize. Alright, so we're going to pick his docking port, because at least he had the foresight to have that, and set it as his target, even though he didn't have the foresight to have a parachute. Now, since he's this close away and we're barely moving, if we were actually wanting to just rescue Jeb, we would switch over to his craft, pop in the EVA, and move him over here. But that's not the point. The point is that we want to dock. So I'm going to open the shield on my shielded docking port. They have regular docking ports, so you don't have to use the shielded one, like the one that I stuck in the side of his vehicle. Now we're going to move ourselves to here. And this is the prograde, this is the direction towards the target, is that pink one, and the yellow one is our actual speed relative to the target. And you see when I burned, that yellow one moved away from us, or moved towards us. So now I'm using the H and N keys to use our RCS to push us in the direction we want, and then I can use I, J, K, and L to kind of move those vectors around, and that's our translation controls. And this is kind of the easiest way, in my opinion at least, to dock with something. So we want to point right at it. In fact, we can tell her to just hold pointed at the target. Then we'll grab this. We'll make sure we're velocity-wise moving towards the target. Give ourselves a little push with H, and we're just going to bump right into his docking port. And when we bump into his docking port, we'll be docked. There we go. We're going to have a 0.2 of a meter per second. Maybe we'll even brake a little as we get close, so we don't want to damage anything. And bam, we just docked with Jeb. And now we can see that we have Jeb, because he's in this, and we've got Valentina over here, along with our whole ship. So we'll turn off that. We'll not do that. That's one thing to remember when you're docking with things, is all the engines stay on. So if I try to turn the engine on, it'll turn on both of these. So I'll shut down his engine. What we're going to do is we're going to right click on here. Oh man, I've not ever actually done crew transfer before, so I don't remember how to do it. I think we click on the crew hatch, that's what it is. Transfer him to the command pod. Now we're orbital. We're looking at our away from Kerbal trajectory. We're going to start thrusting, and basically we're going to clean up space junk while also landing this crew. So we're just going to push Jebediah's ship into a suborbital trajectory here. But we are going to let go of it so that it's not just a bunch of dead weight. We use our RCS to separate ourselves from it a little bit. We'll use them to translate into a slightly different vector from it. Let's do that, give ourselves a little bit different speed, and now we should be ready to re-enter the atmosphere. And it's pretty much just going to be a normal atmospheric re-entry. Nothing real special here, except that now we've rescued Jebediah. So we'll fast forward through some of this. Jeb's mistake over there is in a higher orbit than us, so it's going to fly over us. And if we look around for it, yeah, it's already 17 kilometers away. So we're not too worried about it now. Let's point towards our retrograde. And get on down. And I'm actually going to point towards the radial in. And point back towards retrograde. And that'll just get rid of that guy for us. So then we'll start our atmospheric entry. So as you can see from that, docking really isn't that hard. You just kind of got to know how to move those vectors around, and once you get a little bit of practice with it, it's a piece of cake. And that took less than 10 minutes to dock those two vessels, and part of that was getting one of them into orbit. So, you know, very much not something that's going to be real hard to do. And these guys are flying down through the atmosphere here a little bit. Losing some speed, and I'm in physics acceleration because I'm way too impatient to do this at normal speed. And there we go, we'll deploy our two parachutes. Our terrain altitude still 5 kilometers. 2 kilometers, there we go. Parachutes open up, they experience 15.5 Gs, that's got to be fun. And then we'll just lightly float down daintily to the surface. We're actually going to hit it about 9 meters per second, which is pretty fast. We might blow up our heat shield. Let's see. Let us find out. 50 meters away. Look at that. Nice little explosion to welcome us home. And then we can recover the vessel. And we have successfully rescued Jebediah from orbit using a docking procedure. And you can use that same type of procedure if you want to create yourself a nice big space station in orbit. I mean, you put up one piece, send up the guys, dock with it, and now you get a bigger piece. You can also use this for interplanetary missions. Take one launch and use that to launch up some kind of a nuclear-powered vessel that's got a lot of delta V but won't be able to land on a planet, and then launch up a lander separately. Use the nuclear engines to get you where you're going, and then the lander to go ahead and pop down and land. So there's a lot of things you can do with docking. You know, recreate an Apollo mission, all sorts of fun stuff. But that's how you do it in a nutshell. There may be a better way, a somewhat more efficient way, but that one wasn't too bad. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please feel free to leave me any comments, and I'll see you later.